Hello, and thanks for coming along to And We Have an Office Dog, the digital agency podcast where we talk to agency owner-directors and learn more about what makes them tick. From the things that make them similar to the things they'd rather have known sooner, where they've had success and where they've learned some hard lessons. All will be revealed with your host, Chris Simmance, the agency coach, and he'll be talking to a different awesome agency person in each episode, asking them 4 questions and seeing where the conversation takes us over the next 25 minutes. Okay, so let us begin. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, voiceover guy. And on the podcast today, I'm lucky enough to have the famous Kevin Gibbons again. Season 2, we spoke a good while ago now on the podcast, at least. Hopefully, we've got a nice amount of cool things to talk about now. How are you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, very good. And thanks for having me back.
Well, I almost didn't have you back when we tried this the last time a couple of weeks ago, and someone decided to cut your internet cables up.
Exactly, yeah.
So for anyone who's been living under a rock for the last decade, tell them a little bit about yourself and Resignal, and give them a bit of a rundown of what you guys do as an agency.
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved in SEO myself since 2003. I've ran an agency called SEO Optimize since 2006, and we became what is now Resignal. 11 years ago, I think today, I got a work anniversary card from our team this morning. So yeah, we're now into our 11th year, and we specialize in SEO, and we made a call recently, maybe even coming up to close to 12 months, to focus exclusively on e-commerce as a key sector. So that's a big one since we last spoke. And yeah, we work with a great set of brands, so the likes of ASICS, Fatface, Under Armour, and continually looking to grow, but specialising within SEO as our at the core.
It's good to have a focus, and a focus within a focus is pretty good because you can command some decent pitch decks there. You really talk to someone's language. So, excuse me. So tell us about some of the major changes in the last year with the agency. What's had to be adapted. What have you been kind of consciously working on?
Yeah, so I always thought of about 5 answers at once of that, but I start with, I think positioning has changed. In terms of what we're doing. Positioning sets the theme for quite a lot of agencies in terms of what do you say yes to, but importantly, what do you say no to as well. And I think for us, that's then allowed us to say, okay, well, what do we want to be moving forward, and how do we shape that future in the direction that we want to go? So the positioning piece for us, if I'm honest, it's probably still a work in progress, but it's something that we found our core specialism over the years has been working with e-commerce brands. And it's something that I think we're probably even going to get narrower on in terms of the types of clients that we work with, and thinking about kind of how do we really add value. And I think the game's changed a bit in terms of agencies and their specialisms, and kind of what you need to be able to bring outside of just SEO experience. Kind of that sector knowledge is key. We've bolstered the team in a number of new roles. I'd say my role's probably changed a bit as part of that as well. But yeah, I think the big thing's probably positioning, and then there's a number of things that we then implemented as part of that to really strengthen and reinforce who we are, what we do, and who we do it for.
So for those agencies that haven't got a clear positioning at the minute, I know what the obvious benefits are. You now know absolutely because you're experiencing them. What would you say would be a really obviously clear benefit of going down the potentially scary route of niching into a position and getting that sort of, the positioning bit is almost I'm drawing my line in the sand and that's it. So yeah, what would you say would be a key benefit to that?
Well, I'll start with a scary bit, which is you're turning away business, and that's never comfortable. And I remember toying with this years ago, back when I remember I got AdWords qualified and everything else. I was kind of I need to know everything about digital marketing in order to make sure that we offered services to our clients. And then I kind of had this realization. It took quite a long time, to be honest, of actually we should specialize on what we're good at and what we're passionate about. And for me, that was always SEO, like paid search. I got to a certain level where I could do it and do a good job. And we at times had a very strong team on paid search, but our core specialism was always in SEO. And I think we started to drop the ball a bit in some of the other areas. And I know a turning point. There's a couple of turning points. One was we lost a key client that we had exceptional SEO results for, but we were below par on PPC, and that then made okay. Well, actually, if we specialize more in what we offer as a service, then we can partner with other agencies for the ones that
Yeah.
do the other services, and then obviously we get the parts that we want. We give away the other parts that we don't want, but in return, hopefully, we'll get more back that wouldn't have come our way previously.
Yeah.
So that was scary because it meant that we were turning down money from a service that we used to offer, and now we were just focusing on one. And it's scary again when we then said, okay, well, over the years, we've always been very much B2C. So we've been travel, retail, finance, our key sectors. We do have a couple of clients that we still work with in financial services, do a very good job with. But we've made a call that moving forward, what we want to attract is the e-commerce businesses. That's where, if I look back over the last certainly 5 years, that's where most of our experience has been. Travel faded away during COVID, and e-commerce exploded. And we just found that actually our track record is really strong. If you look into kind of like moving into the benefits, the new biz pitch rate or win rate, if we were to pitch for an e-commerce business, our win rate would be much stronger because we've got really strong case studies of the likes of Asics, Fatface, like Oka over the years, and like brands that show that we've been there and done it for people like you in terms of kind of like similar brands, and that goes a long way. Whereas actually, if you're pitching for a business that you haven't worked with before, I think we know very well that quite often what you deliver might follow a very similar framework, but it's not the same as having a proven track record that you've done it for someone else that's similar to that, and you know the inside, you know, the kind of like the nuances of how things work. And I think that's a big benefit. The other one I would say is just absolute focus. It means that then we can focus. Certainly our marketing is around a core sector. We used to run breakfast events, for example, around travel, retail, finance, and they'd do one a quarter, we'd do one a month. And now we can focus that exclusively on e-com. We made a big move earlier this year to actually say, let's not just do breakfast events, and let's consolidate. And we did increase kind of some of our spend on stuff like this as well, but let's really focus on ecom. We run a 150 person conference, which
was brilliant.
You attended, and it's very well received. And it was stuff like that I think if we were to not make that decision on positioning, it would have been harder for us to say, let's just run another SEO conference. There's great SEO conferences out there already, but I think what we could bring with this, bringing together the specialism of SEO and ecom, really helped. And with that, we became more focused in what we're doing from a delivery perspective, but also a marketing perspective, how we attract that small kind of more focused set of clients. But yeah, it does take a bit of a brave decision on knowing what you're turning away as well.
Yeah. And I think like you can have all the internal discussions you like about it, you can make the decisions all you like about it, but that as soon as you literally flip the switch, which says, instead of we do everything for everyone, it says we do this single thing for these single group of people to solve their problem. That's when you're very clearly marketing, this is where you go now. And you know, if you'd have said that a few years ago about travel, you'd be in a different position where you'd say, okay, we changed our mind. But if, you know, with ecom, you're saying it with all of the knowledge you've got of ecom, you're saying it with all of the experience and expertise. But you're also able to rely a little bit more on that as a future revenue stream, because it's a little bit more resilient given the way the world is. How do you think the recent changes in the industry are going to affect ecom? Because I know that when this goes out, it'll be a bit after the brand new news of search generative results, etc. What's it called? Search generative experience or something? I can't remember now what the acronym means, but There's going to be impacts to how SEO works. There's going to be impacts to how ecom works and things like that. How are you guys looking at that emergence and sort of working on things around there?
I should have. Kashal on our team has put together a deck on his thoughts about this that was shared just before this call.
That's a webinar we need to do.
which I probably should have looked at before this call as opposed to after it. But yeah, no, I think the idea is, and that's probably the key thing, is having people in our team that are both keeping up with the trends, but also experimenting with those trends and actually bringing them into use cases. And I think for us, it's very much, we've got clients where we typically run kind of like QBRs, so quarterly business reviews with our clients. We'll have a innovation roadmap in terms of these are things that we're experimenting and trialing with in terms of where we think things are going, where we can drive efficiencies, maybe with technology. And there's some things that we're building out at the moment on that front. But equally, what changes with Google and the platforms, because that's obviously going to have a big impact. If we just do things the same way that we've always done, then actually we're missing a trick. So, but equally, if you stop what you're doing and follow the latest shiny trends every time it changes, would change direction every day. So it's picking the bets and the things that we think, okay, let's dig a bit deeper here and then experiment, but then blocking time out to say, okay, let's draw some trends together and understand, firstly, where do we want to dip our toe in? And then secondly, okay, how is that working? What are the trends that we've learned, and can we do more of this?
Yeah, and being able to have your focus and your positioning means that you can, in a sense, discard some of the noise that other areas are talking about that maybe will be tangentially connected, but not enough that you need to focus a huge amount of time on. Meaning, the time you do spend is a lot more valuable. What's been something that you guys are kind of seeing change in the industry, like makeup of agencies and things like that? Because I know that I can see that there's after the hangover of COVID, there's certainly an awful lot that I think is changing in the dynamics and the culture in agencies. What are you seeing as a leader?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think for us, I think it's still kind of a getting used to, I don't know, they called it like the new normal at one point. I don't even know what stage we're at now. But it's kind of understanding what that looks like as from a client perspective of what our clients need, from a team perspective of what gets the best out of our team. We always had an office, for example, before COVID, and we were quite flexible. We did 4-day weeks that we'd actually just taken down to 3-day weeks, but still kind of with core hours of needing to be in the office. And since then, we've not just got rid of the office, but we have a largely distributed team that's across the UK. So actually having an office right now, I'm not even sure where maybe we have more people in Manchester than we do in London now. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, if we had an office, we'd have a mass walkout because like people would not be able to get there. But equally, it's not just about that. It's about, like I say, what do our clients need and how do we do our best work? And I think there was an agency I saw recently that have said that we're going back to the office and you need to live within a certain range or be able to commute in there. And I read their justification for it and I actually thought it was very fair. I think what works is one or the other. I think you make a decision that we're going to have an office location. People will need to be located relatively close in order to be in the office, or we're remote and we embrace it. I think the middle ground really doesn't work. And I think we'll go in 2 days a week, or you can go in whatever day you like, but you go into quite an empty office, or I'm definitely not a fan of the
It's hard, isn't it? Yeah.
The meetings where some people are in the room and some people are dialing in and everyone in the room is talking to a screen instead of each other, and it's like stuff like that I just don't think works. But I do think if you're remote, and that's the way that we've gone, and like I say, not knocking having an office, I think that we've done very well out of that in the past and there's benefits for it, but I think you have to make a call one way or the other. And I think everyone post-COVID was very much, let's try hybrid and figure out which way it takes us. Certainly if you had a commitment to a lease, then of course you're going to try and use that in some way. But for us, it's been very much, we've got people in our team, like I say, Manchester, Cornwall, Birmingham, kind of Leeds, London, Oxford, Newbury. It's kind of like it's very distributed in a way that means if we need to get together.
A converted van. You need a
Yeah,
converted
yeah,
van as an
exactly.
office to drive around the country.
Totally. But it means we can meet up as a team and it's not too difficult kind of to meet kind of, I don't know,
Yeah,
once a month or so or stuff like that. If you need to be, we've got clients in Amsterdam. If we need to be there and see them, then that's fine. We'll be there. But equally,
yeah.
we don't need to be together in a room 5 days a week. And yeah, but I think that's allowed us to tap open to more talent. So, like I said, I think you have to pick your
Mm,
position on it. But for us, I think we've certainly seen benefits from that call.
yeah. So over the last year, all of the changes that's been made in the agency, the successes that have come from it, where do you think you've gone professionally, personally? What's developed in you as a leader?
I think it's an evolution of the role. I've been very, very much trying to build the agency as a system that works, and I found that I was a bottleneck, to be honest, like in the past. And I think it's natural for an agency leader. You reach a certain size. I think
Yeah.
most agency leaders might get to say 1 million turnover and run the show, and I think that's quite common. But I think beyond
Mm,
that point, it's then really tricky to you're spinning too many plates. And I think for us, it's okay. Well, I've never felt I'm the best person at new biz. Client services, again, I think I can build strong relationships with clients and do good work. But again,
mm,
it's like trying to do everything operationally, culturally across the team. And I think for me, it's actually I've put more work into stuff like our own positioning. We have a great head of HR that helps to make sure we've got a really strong culture in our team. And we've built out a senior leadership team that, again, there's focus on new biz, client services, and kind of continuous pressure on each of those because they're really important. Whereas I think
mm.
in the earlier days, I did too much of that myself and I'd spread myself too thin and it'd be like, oh, we've got a great lead. I'm going to focus on this and let's win it. And then we've got no leads. I'm going to focus on marketing. Let's fill the pipeline. Or this client,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
aren't going that well. I'm going to step in and fix that. And it's like, you can't do that, not at scale. And I think now just building core competencies in all of those important areas where I can coach the team, but I'm not
Mm,
the person with sole accountability. There's someone that is accountable for
yeah.
each of those areas of the business, makes it so much easier.
Absolutely. And speaking of leadership and accountability, thank you for writing the foreword to the Digital Agency Leader book from the OMG Centre, Control Alt
Yeah,
Lead.
of
It
course.
will be available by the time this book goes live, this podcast goes live. It was really interesting reading that foreword. And when anyone listens to the book, please do head to the OMG Centre website to download your copy because just that one foreword tells you an awful lot about the journey that you've gone through as a leader, Kevin. And first of all, thanks for writing it, and second of all, hopefully you enjoyed the book itself. Probably not
Absolutely,
as
yeah.
many lessons in there as it may well be for others, given your path in so far. But thank you.
Yeah, of course. And like I put in forward, I think I almost wish there was more knowledge about this when I got started. I think I've learned
Yeah,
from
same.
mistake after mistake. And
This is a book full of well worded lessons.
yeah, exactly. But sometimes you have to go through it, don't you, in order to learn it. It's
Yeah,
you can get told the right
yeah.
answers, but it doesn't mean you're going to do it. And I think it's useful, certainly, to have kind of a bit more theory and yeah,
Mm,
a bit of a blueprint on how
exactly.
to do it. But
Exactly.
equally, some of those hard lessons, there's no cheat code. Essentially, it's like
No,
you've got to go through
the Leadership Konami code does not exist, listeners. So, Kevin,
it.
we're a year into the future. We're re-recording for our third time. What's the core focus for you and Resignal in the next year?
Yeah, so I think there's certain things we're working on right now to get towards that, but it's like I mentioned, our positioning I think might get even tighter in terms of the brands that we're targeting and working with. Certainly, I think for us,
Mm,
we've always been kind of quite a premium SEO agency in terms of the brands that we work with, and it will be continuing to grow across our journey. It's interesting to mention like into our 11th year now. But originally, I remember having a vision for the company around kind of having 12 great brands that we work with and 20
mm,
world class team members. I think I think we're there at that point in time. I think we have achieved that, and it's now thinking about how do we take that to the next level. And there'll be some things around what we need to do. I still don't see us being an agency that has 50 clients. I think it's an agency that has a small group of clients that are kind of larger on the whole, and that's just the model that we work with. But yeah, there's certain areas that we'll build out with our leadership team. We're working on some technology that, again, is probably a bit too early to talk about right now, but yeah, in a year's time, almost certainly, that's something that I would like to have seen not just be built, but kind of being used and helping to drive efficiency and strong work for our clients. So yeah, I think there's quite a lot there.
We'll time the
Like I
podcast
say,
recording for the launch then next year.
yeah, exactly. I think that's fair. But yeah, it's some of it is more of the same, and some of it is actually, like I say, kind of trying to use a bit of my time now. I've freed up some of the time in other areas for some of the bigger projects. So doing things like the conference, I think is really good fun. And I think there's other things that we're working on. There may be bigger projects than we would have done in the past, and it's nice to be able to focus on that as well. So yeah, it's how do we move towards where we want to get to, as opposed to just being kind of like reactive to the day-to-day as well.
That's nice. Thank you so much for coming along again the second time, Kevin. It's been great to speak to you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, happy to be a part of it. Thanks, Chris.
And in our next episode, we'll revisit another agency leader and see how their last year has been. And thanks for listening.